What would you do if your wife of 8 years cheated on you with one of the most famous athletes in the world? Would you cry? Would you scream? Would you beg her to come back? Well, buckle up, because today's Reddit story is about a man who chose none of those options. Instead, he orchestrated the most calculated, devastating, and absolutely brilliant revenge that literally made international headlines and cost his cheating wife everything she held dear. This story comes from r/pro revenge, and let me tell you, this isn't just pro-level revenge. This is PhD level, masterclass, award-winning revenge that had consequences spanning 3 continents and involved lawyers, private investigators, the international press, and yes, Cristiano Ronaldo himself. Before we dive into this absolute masterpiece of vengeance, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because stories like this don't come around every day. Trust me, you're going to want to share this one with everyone you know. Host. Let me paint you a picture of what seemed like the perfect life. Our protagonist, let's call him Marcus, was a 34-year-old successful marketing executive living in London. He worked for one of those high-end PR agencies that handled celebrity clients, sports figures, and luxury brands. Think million-dollar campaigns, red carpet events, and connections that most people only dream about. Marcus had built himself quite the life. 6-figure salary, penthouse apartment in Canary Wharf, a collection of vintage watches that could fund a small country's GDP, and most importantly, a wife he absolutely adored. Enter Sarah, 29 years old, drop-dead gorgeous, and one of London's most sought-after personal trainers. But not just any personal trainer, mind you. Sarah specialized in training A-list celebrities, professional athletes, and ultra-high-net-worth individuals. We're talking about the kind of clientele that pays £500 per hour just to have someone count their push-ups. Sarah had built her reputation training everyone from Hollywood actors preparing for action roles to Premier League footballers during their off-season. She was known for her innovative training methods, her discretion with high-profile clients, and her ability to get results that other trainers simply couldn't match. Marcus and Sarah had been together for 10 years, married for 8. They met at a charity gala where Marcus's agency was handling the PR and Sarah was training the celebrity host. It was, by all accounts, love at first sight. Marcus proposed on a private beach in the Maldives. They had a wedding that cost more than most people's houses, and they seemed to have everything figured out. They had the perfect London power couple life. Marcus would close million-pound deals during the day, Sarah would train celebrities and athletes, and in the evenings, they'd attend exclusive events, dine at Michelin-starred restaurants, and plan their next luxury vacation. On social media, they were relationship goals incarnate. But as we all know, social media never tells the whole story. And sometimes, the most perfect-looking relationships are hiding the darkest secrets. Host. Now, let's talk about how Cristiano Ronaldo entered this story. It was March 2023, and Ronaldo had just signed with a new club. As part of his preparation for the upcoming season, his management team was looking for a personal trainer in London, someone who could work with his existing fitness regime but add new elements to keep him at peak performance. Through Marcus's PR agency connections, because remember, they handled sports celebrities, Sarah got the referral of a lifetime. Cristiano Ronaldo's team wanted to hire her for an intensive 3-month training program. We're talking about training one of the greatest footballers of all time, someone whose dedication to fitness is legendary. The contract was incredible. £2,000 per session, minimum 5 sessions per week, plus bonuses for flexibility and discretion. Sarah would be making more in 3 months than most people make in 2 years. Marcus was over the moon. His wife was about to train CR7 himself. According to Marcus's Reddit post, he was genuinely excited for Sarah. He bragged to his colleagues, posted subtle hints on social media, and even bought a Ronaldo jersey as a joke gift for Sarah. He was so proud that his wife had reached this level of professional success. The training began in April. Sarah would meet Ronaldo at an exclusive private gym in Kensington at 6 a.m. sharp. The sessions were intense, 2 hours of cutting-edge fitness routines, recovery work, nutrition planning, and technique refinement. Ronaldo, being Ronaldo, was the perfect client, punctual, dedicated, respectful, and professional. For the first month, everything seemed normal. Sarah would come home exhausted but exhilarated, sharing stories about Ronaldo's incredible work ethic and professionalism. She'd tell Marcus about the advanced training techniques they were using, the nutritional science they were implementing, and how amazing it was to work with someone so dedicated to their craft. But then, things started to change. Subtly at first, then more obviously. And Marcus, being in PR and naturally observant about human behavior, began to notice every single detail. Host. It started with small things. Sarah began taking longer to come home after training sessions. When Marcus asked about it, she had perfectly reasonable explanations. They were working on recovery techniques, discussing nutrition plans, or Ronaldo had extended the session to work on specific fitness goals. Then there were the phone calls. Sarah had always been professional about client communication, but suddenly she was taking calls at all hours. Her phone would buzz during dinner, during movies, even late at night. When Marcus asked who was calling, it was always work-related or Ronaldo's team coordinating schedules. By May, the changes were becoming harder to ignore. Sarah started dressing differently for training sessions. Instead of her usual athletic wear, she was wearing designer workout clothes that cost more than most people's monthly rent. She began getting expensive beauty treatments, high-end facials, luxury hair appointments, professional makeup sessions. When Marcus commented on these changes, Sarah explained that training such a high-profile client required her to look more polished and professional. She said Ronaldo's team had image standards for everyone in his inner circle, and she needed to maintain a certain appearance. But the real red flag was the gifts. Sarah started receiving thank you presents from her grateful client. First, it was a luxury watch, a Rolex Daytona that cost more than Marcus made in 3 months. Then came designer handbags, expensive jewelry, and premium skincare products that celebrities use. Each gift came with what Sarah claimed was a note from Ronaldo's management team, thanking her for her exceptional work and professionalism. Marcus never saw these notes, of course. Sarah said she threw them away because they were just business correspondence. The most suspicious change was in Sarah's behavior toward Marcus himself. She became distant, distracted, and seemed to be living in her own world. She stopped sharing details about her training sessions, stopped asking about Marcus's work, and seemed to be constantly thinking about something else. Marcus later wrote in his Reddit post that he felt like he was losing his wife to something he couldn't identify. She was physically present but emotionally absent, as if her mind was always somewhere else, or with someone else. Host. Now, Marcus wasn't the type to jump to conclusions or make accusations without evidence. Remember, he worked in PR, he understood the importance of facts, documentation, and proof. So instead of confronting Sarah directly, he decided to investigate. It started innocently enough. Marcus began paying closer attention to Sarah's schedule, noting when she left for training sessions and when she returned. He started asking casual questions about Ronaldo's training progress and Sarah's experiences working with such a high-profile client. But the more Marcus investigated, the more inconsistencies he found. Sarah claimed she was training Ronaldo 5 days a week, but Marcus's contacts in the sports world told him that Ronaldo was frequently traveling for commercial shoots and promotional events. How could Sarah be training him when he wasn't even in London? Then Marcus discovered something that made his blood run cold. Through his professional network, he learned that Ronaldo had actually reduced his training schedule in May due to a minor injury. He was only doing light sessions twice a week, not the intensive daily training that Sarah claimed to be providing. This is when Marcus decided to take the investigation to the next level. Using his connections in the private security world, remember, his PR agency worked with high-profile clients who sometimes needed protection. Marcus hired a professional private investigator. The private investigator Marcus hired wasn't just any PI. This was someone who specialized in high-profile cases, someone who had worked with celebrities, politicians, and ultra-wealthy individuals. Someone who knew how to be invisible, how to gather evidence without being detected, and how to document everything with courtroom-level precision. The PI's brief was simple: follow Sarah, document her activities, and find out what was really happening during those supposed training sessions. Marcus wasn't hoping to find evidence of an affair. At this point, he was still hoping there was an innocent explanation for everything. The investigation began on a Monday morning in June. The PI followed Sarah from their Canary Wharf apartment to what should have been a training session at the Kensington gym. But Sarah didn't go to the gym. Instead, she drove to one of London's most exclusive hotels, the Corinthia. Now, the Corinthia isn't just any hotel. This is where A-list celebrities stay when they're in London. We're talking about presidential suites that cost £10,000 per night, absolute privacy, and the kind of discretion that money can't usually buy. The PI watched as Sarah walked through the lobby like she owned the place, took a private elevator to the penthouse floor, and disappeared. She emerged 4 hours later, looking like she just had the time of her life. This happened not once, not twice, but every single day for a week. While Marcus thought his wife was training Cristiano Ronaldo, she was actually spending hours in a luxury hotel suite. The question was, with whom? Host. The PI's investigation was about to uncover something that would shatter Marcus's world completely. On the following Monday, the investigator positioned himself with high-powered cameras and telephoto lenses to document exactly what was happening at the Corinthia. At 9:47 a.m., Sarah arrived at the hotel, just like she had every day the previous week. But this time, the PI was ready to capture everything. What he documented next would become the evidence that changed everything. At 10:15 a.m., a black Bentley with tinted windows pulled up to the hotel's private entrance. The door opened, and out stepped Cristiano Ronaldo himself. Not in workout clothes, not carrying gym equipment, but dressed in designer casual wear and looking like he was heading to a romantic rendezvous. The PI captured high-resolution photos of Ronaldo entering the hotel, taking the same private elevator that Sarah had used, and heading to the same penthouse floor. The timestamps on the photos showed that Sarah and Ronaldo were in that hotel suite together for over 3 hours. But it gets worse. Much worse. The PI continued surveillance for the entire week, and the pattern was consistent. Sarah and Ronaldo were meeting at luxury hotels across London, the Savoy, Claridge's, the Ritz, having what were clearly romantic encounters while Marcus believed his wife was providing professional fitness training. The photographic evidence was damning enough, but the PI didn't stop there. Using specialized equipment, he was able to capture audio of Sarah and Ronaldo leaving the hotels. The conversations were intimate, romantic, and left absolutely no doubt about the nature of their relationship. In one particularly devastating recording, Sarah could be heard saying, "I can't wait to see you tomorrow, my love. These few hours are the only time I'm truly happy." Ronaldo's response was equally damaging. "You know you mean everything to me, beautiful. I wish we could be together all the time." But the most heartbreaking evidence came when the PI followed Sarah home after one of these hotel meetings. Using long-range audio equipment, he captured Sarah on a phone call with someone, presumably Ronaldo, while she was sitting in her car outside the apartment she shared with Marcus. In that phone call, Sarah said words that would haunt Marcus forever. "I hate going home to him. Every day it gets harder to pretend I love my husband when all I can think about is you. Marcus is so boring, so predictable. He has no idea what real passion feels like. I can't wait until we can be together properly." According to Marcus's Reddit post, listening to that recording was like having his heart ripped out while he was still alive. This wasn't just a physical affair. Sarah had fallen completely in love with Ronaldo and was actively planning to leave her marriage. But here's where Marcus proved that he wasn't just another heartbroken husband. Instead of confronting Sarah immediately, instead of breaking down and begging her to stay, Marcus began planning something that would become legendary in the annals of revenge stories. Host. Marcus spent 3 sleepless nights analyzing every piece of evidence, every photo, every recording. But instead of wallowing in self-pity, his PR and marketing background kicked in. He began to see this situation not as a personal tragedy, but as a strategic challenge that required a calculated response. Remember, Marcus worked for a high-end PR agency. He understood media manipulation, public relations disasters, and how to control narratives. He had connections with journalists, photographers, and media outlets across Europe. Most importantly, he understood exactly how to destroy someone's reputation in the modern digital age. Host. The fallout from Marcus's revenge campaign was swift, comprehensive, and absolutely devastating for everyone involved, except Marcus himself. Within a week, both Sarah and Ronaldo were facing consequences that would change their lives forever. Sarah's personal training career was completely destroyed. Not only had she lost all her high-profile clients, but word had spread throughout London's fitness community that she was untrustworthy. No reputable gym would hire her, no celebrity would work with her, and her reputation was so damaged that she couldn't even get clients among regular civilians. The financial impact on Sarah was immediate and severe. She had been earning over £500,000 per year from her exclusive client base. Overnight, that income disappeared completely. She was also facing potential lawsuits from clients who felt she had breached their confidentiality agreements and professional contracts. Ronaldo's situation was even more catastrophic. The affair scandal triggered a clause in several of his major endorsement contracts that allowed brands to terminate their agreements if he was involved in behavior that damaged their reputation. Within 2 weeks, Ronaldo had lost endorsement deals worth an estimated £80 million. But the professional consequences were nothing compared to the personal devastation. Ronaldo's long-term partner, with whom he had children, was reportedly planning to leave him. The custody battles alone were expected to cost millions, and the potential settlement could be one of the largest in celebrity history. Meanwhile, Marcus emerged from the situation as a sympathetic figure who had handled an impossible situation with dignity and strategic brilliance. His social media following exploded as people admired how he had turned a personal betrayal into a masterclass in strategic revenge. Sarah attempted to fight back legally, claiming that Marcus had violated her privacy and caused intentional damage to her career. However, her lawyers quickly realized that Marcus had been careful to stay within legal boundaries. All the evidence had been gathered legally, and the information was released as a matter of public interest. The divorce proceedings were swift and decisive. With overwhelming evidence of Sarah's adultery and deception, Marcus was able to secure a favorable settlement that protected his assets and ensured that Sarah received minimal financial support. The prenuptial agreement they had signed proved crucial in protecting Marcus's wealth. But perhaps the most satisfying aspect of Marcus's revenge was how it affected Sarah's relationship with Ronaldo. The intense media scrutiny and public pressure caused their affair to crumble almost immediately. Ronaldo, facing massive financial and personal consequences, quickly distanced himself from Sarah to try to salvage what remained of his reputation. Within a month of the story breaking, Sarah and Ronaldo's relationship was over. The passionate affair that had cost Sarah her marriage, her career, and her reputation lasted less than 4 weeks under public scrutiny. Sarah found herself completely alone, with no husband, no career, no income, and no romantic relationship to show for her choices. Host. So what can we learn from Marcus's extraordinary revenge story? First and most importantly, this tale demonstrates the power of strategic thinking over emotional reaction. When Marcus discovered his wife's affair, he had every right to explode with anger, but instead, he channeled that energy into planning a response that would have lasting consequences. Marcus understood that in the modern world, reputation and public image are incredibly valuable commodities. By systematically destroying both Sarah's professional reputation and Ronaldo's carefully crafted public image, he ensured that the consequences of their affair would extend far beyond the end of his marriage. The story also highlights how professional skills can be weaponized in personal situations. Marcus's background in PR and marketing gave him advantages that most people don't have when dealing with infidelity. He knew how to gather evidence, how to control narratives, and how to coordinate media campaigns for maximum impact. Perhaps most importantly, this story demonstrates the crucial importance of evidence in any confrontation. Marcus didn't act on suspicion or emotion, he gathered comprehensive, documented proof before taking any action. This approach protected him legally and ensured that his revenge couldn't be dismissed or countered effectively. From a moral perspective, this story raises interesting questions about proportionality in revenge. Some might argue that Marcus's response was excessive. After all, affairs happen, and most people handle them through divorce courts rather than international media campaigns. Others would argue that Sarah and Ronaldo's behavior was so calculating and cruel that they deserved everything they got. As of the last update Marcus provided on Reddit, he had moved on with his life completely. He received a promotion at work, partly due to the media attention demonstrating his strategic capabilities. He was dating again, though keeping his romantic life private. Most importantly, he reported feeling completely at peace with how he had handled the situation. Sarah, according to Marcus's final update, had moved back in with her parents and was working at a regular commercial gym for a fraction of her previous income. Ronaldo eventually managed to rebuild his reputation somewhat, but the financial losses from the scandal were permanent, and his relationship with his long-term partner never fully recovered. This story reminds us that in the age of social media and global connectivity, actions have consequences that can spread far beyond what we might expect. Sarah and Ronaldo thought they were having a private affair, but their choices ultimately became international news with life-changing consequences for everyone involved. What do you think about Marcus's revenge? Was it justified, or did he go too far? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible Reddit stories that will blow your mind. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next week.